I'm sorry about that. Right, so, oops, right, I'm still got a little bit of a way to go here. I'm trying to avoid coming up through the fabric as well as the paper because I need to be very controlling of this because it's so fragile. But I'm hoping that it's just going to be so much worth the effort. Okay, now I'm going to stop now, or maybe not now, maybe another stitch and put the wadding in. Just let me see how much room I've got there. No, one more stitch and then I'll have enough space to put the wadding in. Right, so talk about fiddle central, but I do like to fiddle, honestly. Bring my needle back up to the front and then I know where it is, but obviously this isn't fabric so I can't just put it through like that. So I'll put it over here on the edge where it's not going to encroach on the design area. I'll get my wadding, and I can't really force this because it's paper underneath, so a little tiny bit at a time, and plus I don't want it that raised anyway because I don't want it to distort the sheet that's above it when I get it on the design sheet. So literally just coax it in with the end of my scissors. You can use tweezers for this or a crochet hook or so, but it's going in very gently. I have to be so gentle here. Just push it in. I mean, you can say nice things to it if you want, whisper sweet nothings. Now, also, remember what I always say, I think that's going to be enough. I don't want to force it, and I don't want, like I say, I don't want it to be massively overstuffed. Now again, you're going to have to, like I'm always talking about, remember the bigger picture. Oh, just stab myself. So close this over now, just with little tiny stitches like we've been doing all the way around. Now if you're not confident on stitching on this really fine paper, you could get some what I call bonder web. It's like fusible netting, fusible web stuff. Just push that in a bit with my needle because it's sticking out a bit there. And iron two pieces together, that would make it a bit stronger. The only thing I don't personally like about that is that that means that your needle's going through melted plastic, isn't it? But you know, I mean, that's a personal choice thing. So I'm nearly round now. I'll be so relieved when I get round, and when I'm round I'm taking out the hoop because I'm thinking the tension in this hoop now, since I've stuffed that, it's getting greater. It's much tighter now in there. So it doesn't need to be pulled unnecessarily. Right, so just take it to the back, and you have to fasten off just by making little knots. It's not like fabric where you can keep over sewing, because if you keep over sewing with paper, then you're gonna get a hole eventually. So just loads of little knots, and then perhaps it's possible, you have to look and you'll know your own work, to run your thread through some of the stitches on the back that you've already set by attaching that fabric. Okay, if you've got stitches there, use them just for that extra security of your thread so that it's not going to come undone. Okay, right, cut that off now, and then I'm going to take it out the hoop like I said, and it's going to be a mess, but I can iron it. Don't forget I can iron it. Right, so now, in fact I'm going to go and iron it shortly when I've done the next bit, just to show you how it does iron. I won't, now I'm taking out the tacking that was holding those sides down, but don't over pull, don't pull too hard, because you will always remember the potential to rip, to tear, and be gentle at every single stage. if nothing, you'll learn patience, hopefully. Right, so that doesn't want to come. That's it. Right, so now what I'm going to do is get a smaller needle with a sharp point, and I'm going to put some cotton abroader in it, some white cotton abroader, and I'm going to try and edge this with chain stitch, and that defines it. That makes it look more like a circle rather than just a blob on this bit of paper. So I'm just threading my needle. It won't be long. Well, it won't be long, I said, you know, I mean, you'll still be there in half an hour. Go make dinner and come back. Right, needle threaded. I'm going to put a knot in it again. Now I won't take, what I might do, when I've done it, yes I will, I'll turn off and I'll take the camera to the ironing board to show you how all that'll iron out. Right, so just come up anywhere at the edge. Don't ever pull too tight. Tiny little running stitches all the way around. If I was sitting doing this of an evening when I was watching TV, it probably wouldn't take me this long. So don't think it's like unnecessary waste of time because it's taking forever and ever and ever. And even if it did take me this long, I would still do it because I just think the effect of it is going to be so worth the effort of doing it. So we'll just continue around with these tiny chain stitches. Well, not that tiny, but pull in a little bit. The sun's really strong and I'm struggling to see the viewer of this camera. But I'm not complaining because we've had so little sun recently. So I'm probably going to have, I don't know actually how many I'm going to have of these on here. I'm going to keep going with them until I think it's enough. Okay. Now, a lot in my embroidery classes, a lot of the time, I start something with an idea of how it's going to be. And as I'm working on it, I get more ideas. And I'm not saying that isn't going to happen with this. But next time, the next video will be this completed and pressed to the idea I've got for it now, which is just having these raised areas on it. And then if I do decide in the meantime that I want to add something else, I'll share that with you and I'll do that with you. Okay. But you know, we need to progress. I'm conscious that I need to progress this one sheet because how long in terms of videos, I can't even work it out. I'll have to look at them all, I don't know. It is a marathon and not a sprint. And I'm hoping, I mean, honestly, feel free to replicate everything I'm doing here. Please, honestly, do that. But also, I'm hoping that some of you, at least some of you, go forward and use these processes in different ways to me. That it inspires you to do something that's unique to you and the way you work and your colour palette and etc. Right, so that's all the way around now. Now already you can see that's more defined as a circle just by putting that edge, that chain stitch edge. So I'll go to the back and fasten off, and then I want to do something else here. I'll just cut this off. I found them little scissors. Right, I want to get some stranded cotton. What I'm going to do first, very lightly, draw a little dashed line all the way around here. Okay, you probably can't see it, it's very, very faint. I'm hoping it'll eventually wear off. Get some stranded cotton. Now with stranded cottons, they come in 6 strands. A tip for you, always separate them before you use them. So I want to use 2 strands, so I take 1 strand off, and then I take another strand off. I don't pull 2 off together. I separate them. If I was using 3, I'd take 3 off. If I was using 4, I'd take 4 off. Even if I was using all 6, I would separate all 6 first, and then rejoin them before you thread them. And they lay so much flatter. Your stitches just lay. It just looks so much more professional. And it just do it. If you've never done it, then just do it, and you'll know what I mean. I say this in every class, and lots of people get back to me and say, that's amazing, I never thought of that, and it really does make a difference. So now I'm going to put a knot in this, but I'm actually questioning whether I want to come up at the outer edge here, this place where I've just put them little marks, or whether it needs a more stable footing in terms of, see, but if you can see it through the paper, so I've got to do it, I can't trail it from somewhere else. I'll tell you what I was thinking in a second. So I'm putting a massive knot in it. I've got a really fine needle and I'm putting a massive knot in it so that the knot doesn't come through the hole. That's what I'm thinking. But what I was gonna do, what I was considering, was anchoring it on the stitches I've just made on the back with the chain stitch, but you would see it trailing across. So and then that line I've just drawn, come up there, and I'm gonna do just little tiny running stitches now all the way around this. It's almost like a spaceship, but again it's just reinforcing that circle theme all the way around. And you can't see the pencil marks, barely visible, but they are providing a really good guide for me with these stitches in terms of keeping it circular. So when I've done this, if I take it to the ironing board and press it, and then lay it on that other piece, it'll give you a sense of how it's going to look when it's done. And also, just let me so who would have thought, I can't see those lines there. It's not because I particularly want to stitch over them, they're just a guide for my circular shape. So when I've done this, okay, when it's actually all stitched, I mean, you might get ahead of yourself and finish before I come back. So I've got to say, so that's my final stitch, okay. But when I'm done, I'm going to cut it out, okay, from this main piece of paper. But here, this edge here, this is where I'm going to be cutting, okay, there. So let's say, for example, right, so I could have a little one of those somewhere along this edge. Maybe I'd be better with, I haven't got that big paper. Just let me get a bit of paper. Have a think about, right? Just have a think about, so this is my piece. I'm going to be laying over the page. That's my first one. I can't even see if you can see this because the sun's so bright. Right, so that's my first one I've just done, okay. Think about having them so that your puffy bits there, your bumpy bits there, and then it's as if your circles coming in off the edge of this, so that you've got an incomplete circle. Okay, it just makes it look more evenly distributed if you do things like that, because you might find that I'm going to be doing something like that, but that's going to happen with mine. That sun is so strong, I can't. So it's here. I'm just saying it's here so that I can see my finger, because I can't literally, the sun is going on there, I literally can't see it properly. So that's what you might find that I'm going to do with mine. So that's that finished. Fasten it off with a knot. Okay. And then run it through a couple of these stitches before I cut it off, just to secure it. Okay. So probably, so what do you think? I mean, it is going to be effective, and you'll get a sense of how effective it'll be when I put it on the other piece when I get it to the ironing board. So I could probably get another one here, a little tiny one here, one over there, and one up here somewhere. So, you know, it's not going to take a massive amount of stitching, but it's going to be effective just for that minimal amount of titivation like that. I'll turn off and get to the ironing board and show you how I'm going to iron this, okay, and lay it on that other sheet. I won't be a sec. Right, so I'm on the ironing board. It's just white towels that I have on my ironing board when I'm ironing cloth or anything like that. So literally the hoop has made that mark, okay. The hoop has made all those hideous marks, wrecking marks. There's none within the area that I've stitched. There is one going across there, but hopefully as I move along and move my hoop up, it's not going to be a case of, so if I've got another bump here, if I'm extra careful, I won't be getting any kind of creasing going on in there. So it literally just irons. There. So easy. So easy. And iron around that motif without actually touching the thread. There. Okay. So it's pristine again. And it's gonna be, you can tell, it's kind of like, obvious that's there, it's distorting the paper slightly, and the others probably will, but that's part of the thing I want to do, because I want it to have a texture, different texture to the flatness of the original piece. So if I put this here and put this on, just folded for now, right, and then this is going to be on the top, and that's going to be partially visible there, so it's going to be adding that interest I was talking about. I mean, it looks rubbish at the minute because it's not properly placed and it's not cut out. You know, it needs to have that nice flowing edge on it, but it really is going to add interest, trust me. And when I come back and I've done this, you will see that that is, you know, that is working, that is a good thing. So already, one design in blue, one design in dark blue, one design combining the two, one design with just French knots, one design like that, one design with the buttonhole lace, and perhaps another one with adding French knots in the buttonhole lace. Do you know, mixing it up, and who's to say that that may well figure on the third sheet. Okay, we'll see when I come to do the third layer. That's another design idea. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but it's eminently worth it. And when all these pieces come together, I promise you, I don't want to say it's going to be stunning, because I don't want to like big myself up, and that's not what I'm doing. But it will be a kind of, oh yeah, I'm hoping, oh yeah, look at all those ideas, a wealth of information in that piece of work. I want to look under there, I want to lift that flap up, I want to look what's happening on that middle layer, I want to look what's happening on that bottom layer. So it is going to be worth it, trust me. I actually really like that. So this is how ideas build up. This is what sparks and inspires. I actually like it offset like that, so that it's not right in the centre. So I'll be back Saturday today, possibly Tuesday, but I will let you know. Well, you'll get it, won't you, in your email. So I'll say Tuesday. If it's any earlier, it'll be a nice surprise. And if you've got any problems, just email me. You know, please don't hesitate to email me. But I just hope you have some fun, and like I say, I hope some of you take it in a different direction to me. That would be amazing.